to do some videos on some post-Mormon issues and supporting people when they choose to leave the church, because that's something that I went through personally, and it was really, really tough. And I have so many clients, and every day more clients who are coming to me with the same issues and who need support. So I've been kind of prepping to do this for a while, and it's been in the works for a while, but I wanted to make sure I was in a really good place to talk about it, and I was ready for whatever came up, against that, because my family is also still active and still Mormon, and I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. And so I was prepping for how I would talk about this, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so I'm going to make sure that I say that I'm not trying to offend anyone, and I totally support people who choose to stay in the Mormon church and all of that, give this, make sure I do a whole warning, this is not meant to be offensive, all of that, right? And I thought through that for a while, and then I started watching more kind of YouTube videos and connecting with different people on social media who were already out and talking about this stuff. And I noticed a trend, especially with ex-Mormon women, that they all did this, the exact same thing I was thinking of doing, and the way I was thinking of doing that. They all made sure to say, I accept everyone, I love everyone, I have friends who are still in the church, and that's okay. They made sure to say that. And I was watching Chandler Robertson's video. She did the exact same thing, almost verbatim to the way I was thinking about doing it. And when I was watching that, I was thinking, wow. So we know that people who leave really strict religions or beliefs kind of have some brainwashing type stuff that you have to undo. People don't like the word brainwashing, but a lot of that is what it is, right? Where things are drilled into our head from a very young age. So we think the same, and we have some of the same worries and anxieties and that kind of stuff because we've been taught a lot of that, right? So I was thinking, wow, this is really interesting that this is not only coming up for me and it's coming up for her, but it's coming up for so many other people that choose to leave the Mormon church. And after I watched that video, I found myself so angry. I was so mad because I feel like there is a major disparity between ex-Mormons and Mormons in the way we carry ourselves. Now there's so many different layers of this and different kinds of people, but I'm going to talk about the people who I feel like leave the church and become more loving and more accepting and more kind, really. And that's, I've talked about clients about this week, okay? Because they're like, okay, the thing that's bothering me most is since I've left the church, I've gotten more judgment and more hate from my family. I'm working with someone now who their family completely disowned them because they decided to leave the church. And it's such a struggle because you're taught non-judgment and love. And those are things that you really believe. And then you leave this church and you get met with everything opposite, right? So that's such a big part of this. But what really makes me angry is that here I am and here are all these other people who choose to leave and now decide we want to tell our stories and we want to help other people work through this, and we're so worried about offending people who are still Mormon. Now that's great, we're loving and we're accepting, and we want everyone to feel loved and accepted like we want. But then all of these Mormon people are out here talking all over my Facebook, all over Instagram, all over everything, and they are doing the exact opposite. They're preaching that if you're not in this and you don't believe exactly how I believe, then you're damned, right? And a lot of the language is softer, but that's what they're saying. They're saying, choose this path or screw you, essentially. And I guess the frustrating thing for me is that I keep seeing this everywhere, and I keep seeing these really kind women that I know and I really do admire who are still in the Mormon church, but their posts have this underlying thing of they want to post about kind things and loving things, but the underlying message of it is if you're Mormon or if you believe, this applies to you only if you're not gay, or if you are gay, you at least have to hide it, and you are still in the church. There's all these underlying things, and that is not pure love, and that is not pure acceptance. That's not what that is. And as ex-Mormons, I feel like a lot of times we find this place where we're like, you know what? If that still works for you and being Mormon still works for you, then great, because I want you to be happy and I want you to choose, because I actually do believe in agency, real agency. And that's how we preach and we try to spread love. But then it's so different from the messages you get from Mormons, right? You can see I'm quite passionate about this. I feel like a lot of my videos, if you watch my other videos, I'm pretty calm and I'm very like a calm person, but sometimes issues really get to me and I get really frustrated. And I feel like the passion that I have and the passion that I have for other people and for people who experience different things in different walks of life, which is why I decided to be a therapist, because I wanted to help people and I wanted to create change and I wanted to make people's lives better, even on like a micro level. That's what I wanted to do. And when you do that, you see that happiness does not look the same for everybody. It doesn't. So trying to fit everyone into this tiny little box and saying, if you don't fit exactly, then there's something wrong with you, and then you try to shame them into fitting into that box, which just leads to all kinds of things, which is why a lot of my clients who are thinking about leaving the Mormon church have suicidal thoughts and feel like they'll never be good enough, because that's what they've been taught essentially, because they don't fit in that box. And there's no room for people who don't fit in that box. But most people don't fit in a tiny little box. A lot of people are good at pretending that they do, but they don't. So as I'm prepping to do more videos, and I have done a lot of videos on this as I've been going through, I just haven't posted them yet, part of me does want to say, hey, this isn't meant to be offensive. If you are Mormon, great, and that makes you happy, keep doing your thing, that's totally fine. I want to say that because I really don't want to cause offense. But on the other hand, why should I have to worry about if you're offended or not when you don't care about if I'm offended or not, right? You could not care less. I am sick of trying to make everyone feel comfortable and loved and accepted when that's not given back, right? And I spent so long in a church that made me feel like I had to be different and I had to change and I couldn't use my voice and I couldn't be too feminist and I couldn't ask too many questions and I couldn't be too curious. I'm out, I'm done with that. So of course I do not want to cause harm, and that will never, ever be my intention. But if someone doesn't like what I have to say, then don't watch it. Then go somewhere else. That is totally fine, go somewhere else. But I am done trying to fit everyone. I'm just done with that, because I really do believe in owning who you are and owning your voice. And it sucks that that comes with all of these repercussions, especially when you leave the Mormon church and you lose so many of your friends and you lose your security and you lose so many things and you're faced with so much heavy judgment. And that is why I want to talk about this more, because I've been through this. My friends have been through this. So many of my clients have been through this, and it's so hard to go through alone. But we don't have to go through it alone, because there's so many of us out there, and we can love each other and we can support each other in real ways. Real love, real acceptance, actual non-judgmentalness, right? We can actually live those principles that we want to. We can take the pieces that we want from this thing that we did get a lot of value from, and we can leave the rest that caused harm, that caused shame, that caused us to never feel good enough and feel like nothing that we could do or be would ever be enough, and that we had to give up part of ourselves to be saved, right? So I do want to create that safe space, and I really wanted to shoot this video while I was upset about this, because I feel like if I didn't, then I would have edited it again and be like, okay, but you really should be, loving and accepting of other people. But it just isn't fair. there's this disparity, and I don't like it. And I've been thinking about how to apply it in my personal life more too, because it's something that's really important. And I'm really sick of going home or going back into the Mormon community or the Utah community and feeling like I can't express my opinions, but everyone else can express their opinion and preach and do their thing. But I can't, because if I do it, then that's, viewed very negatively, and it looks like I'm trying to be mean and harsh. But I just don't like that, because it's not fair, and it's just not equal. So I'm tightening some of my boundaries up around this, and I'm becoming more vocal. And again, not in a way that I will ever try to change anyone's beliefs, because I don't believe in that. But I'm not going to be silent while you preach to me and not tell you what I think. And if you don't want to have that conversation, great. Let's not talk about it. That is so okay for me, but you can't expect me to sit and take all your stuff when you won't even hear how I feel about that. And I feel so strongly about that now, because I'm just so done with having to just feel that like yucky stuff when people are talking about the temple or the church and how amazing it is, and they just expect me to be like this silent board when they know that that's not how I feel. So if you don't want to have the conversation about this with me and hear how I really feel about it, then don't talk to me about it. There's so many other people in your life that you can talk to about it and that will agree with you and have those conversations in the way that you want. Talk to them. But if you don't want to hear how I feel or how somebody feels who you know feels differently, then don't talk about it with them. Because what you're doing in that instance is you're saying, okay, I want to talk to you about this only if you'll listen and not disagree and not say how you feel. Because if you say how you feel, then that's, what would they even say that is? It's sacrilegious, it's offensive, I feel like whenever I have voiced that around certain people, they've tried to tell me that I'm hating and I try to bring down everything, and it's just not fair. So, what else did I want to say about that? I'm sure there will be more of these videos to come, but I really think that there is a lot of ways that we can just support each other better and in more real ways and stand up for each other, because it just sucks being in this position where you're so judged and hated on, and then you're trying to spread love and acceptance. And I really lately have just felt like ex-Mormons are doing that better. They're doing that better than Mormons, because it's real. It's not, if you follow this exact path and all these rules, then I will actually love and accept you and then you'll be saved. We're not saying that. We're saying, hey, it's your journey, it's your life, do what makes you happy. Cause no harm and do what makes you happy. That's the other thing that I was gonna say. So I kind of feel like when I'm talking to Mormons, they feel about me like they do about gay people. So they'll say, I've heard so many people say this, I'm okay with people being gay, I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to hear about it. I don't want it pushed in my face, right? That's the ridiculous thing that people say. Well, that's how they feel, but they feel that, okay, this is how I feel, so nothing can come in to how I feel, but I am gonna spread all my shit everywhere, right? I don't want to see anything that disagrees with me or that's different than how I feel, but I am gonna slap you in the face with everything that I believe, and you just have to take it. That's how it feels to me. That's really how it feels to me. So if I'm posting something on Facebook that's like pro-gay marriage or really feminist or really encompassing in some way, or something that disagrees with them, they're offended and they're mad and they're like, can't you just keep your ideas to yourself? And we don't want to see two men kissing on Facebook and that's offensive and blah, 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 blah. But then all of their posts are over the top temple stuff and Jesus stuff and, oh, I'm so happy these two found each other and we'll have an eternal marriage and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They slap you in the face with it. But don't you dare post a nice, loving picture of a kind couple who you believe should have the right to get married, because that will be offensive, right? That is something that really bothers me, if you can't tell. So I think that we should all look at our boundaries, look at how we can stand up for ourselves more and find our voice and use our voice more. I think we should look at cutting people out that really aren't good for us, having conversations with other people that will respect those boundaries, really looking at that kind of stuff, right? Because I've talked to some people who are like, you know what, I wish I could be friends with Mormons, but I just can't. And I've talked to other people who are like, you know what, these people I can't have relationships with because they respect me and they will respect my boundaries and how I feel, and I can respect them as well. Obviously, that's what we want. That's the goal. We don't want separation. I don't want there to be these huge dividing lines between anyone. But that means we have to have hard conversations, and we have to accept that there are differences and stop trying to make everyone think the way that you think, right? So examine our boundaries, tighten up our boundaries, and really find support where we need it and find love where we need it and work through that shame, because man, shame is such a big piece. I find it with everybody. I feel like everyone has shame and guilt issues, and it's even more heightened when you're leaving a church like the Mormon church. So let's work through that. There will be lots of videos coming, so if you want to see more of this stuff, please let me know. If you have any ideas for things you want me to talk about, let me know. If you don't, then that's fine. You don't have to watch any of these. You don't have to participate in any of this. There will be other non-Mormon stuff coming as well, so you don't have to worry about that. There will be both. But I do want to create an environment where we can all talk about this and be open about it, because we should be able to share our stories as much as Mormons share their story, or anyone else shares their story. I feel like this is such a great time in the world to be stepping up and owning your story. And I think we should all be able to do that. We shouldn't have to live in secrecy. We shouldn't have to live in shame. We should be able to be open with our pain and our trauma and our love and everything. We should be able to share that and own our story. So that is my goal and the end of everything I have to say on this topic for now. But again, there will be more. So please reach out to me if you want support and you want help in this, and you feel like this is relatable to you. All right, guys, thank you for listening to all of this if you're still here, and I will talk to you all soon.